Ray, you were engaged in a very interesting conversation last night. So I heard the price of kinky coming up a couple of times, and I thought it was so interesting. I just want everyone to hear what was discussed last night on Upfront. Listen.
Analyze KK making, the import content.
KK?
Yes, because your fertilizer, apart from your soil, your irrigation, if it's irrigation doing the maize, all your pipes are import related. Your transportation is import, the big one. That brings the maize from the hinterland to my Mame Dokono at Osu. It's import related.
So it's
the containers, the rubber bags, everything, the plastic bowls, everything. What we use to fetch the pepper, our agriculture sits on importation. The seed itself may be hybrid imported. I'm telling you, the seed, a lot of seed we use in Ghana is not bred here. And even if it will be bred here, the things in the lab is expensive now because we are importing everything.
Never thought of it like that before.
Me too. I was just wondering why. We're discussing the NDC's youth manifesto and specifically the skills and the agric section. And they had brought up some interesting points that they were raising. Then I just drove down to the point that without food security, whichever manifesto promise you have in agriculture will be useless. So how does that guarantee food security? Then I draw down to just kinky and say, kinky, where I buy it is 5 cedi. What will you do to make sure it goes back to 2 cedi? Then Prof stepped in, and Professor Irene Najiri, she's an agric economist at University of Ghana, the School of Agriculture. It is established that she's the first female dean of that school, and for 30 years, she's been doing this.
Fantastic.
Then she decided to break it down for me to understand that no, I've been perceiving kinky wrong. I've been seeing it as some food that is just some maize we get from here, from our own farms. No, you say it. Yeah, that we used to prepare our own food. So why is it also been affected by all the factors we talk about? Then she broke it down from the farm gate straight down to the transportation element. Then there's a part she talks about even the woman selling. The things that she has to sell with, all of the plasticware and all of the other things that she has to put in there. Then if you take out, of course, we can have a conversation about the vegetables, whether they are from Ghana or from elsewhere. But essentially, her argument is that your macroeconomy indeed determines a lot of things. So if you have a dangerous exchange rate situation, it affects things directly and indirectly. We may not see the indirect part because we are used to certain things. And so if we fix the overriding problems, some of these things will automatically be fixed.
Fix themselves,
yes.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand her. And you know, but you see, because also maize sometimes, Raymond, is seasonal, and that's a problem here. Because a lot of our crops are seasonal, so we have the maize season. Unfortunately for us this year, we may not have a maize season because this year, again, the rains have been poor.
There have been complaints a lot.
Yes, and
even prayers to try and shore up.
Yes, and because our agriculture is rain fed, and this is something when we were in JSS. We were taught. We were taught in secondary school. And I am sure those who are studying today will be taught the same thing. Mechanization, irrigation. When I drove, when I drove through Akuse, through Osudoku areas, and I saw the attempts at irrigation by General Achampong, I asked myself, so this was 50 years ago, how come we never took advantage? Now, those attempts at irrigation are currently serving some people who are engaged in crop farming, along those areas. So if the state, for instance, the state decides to help, support somebody to go into large-scale farm with irrigation, that would solve a lot of our problems. And all the things she's talking about, the seeds that are imported, all of these can be developed in this country.
Well, that's what the Peter Otukudo said, that's the NDC's vision.
But you see, this is the other point. It is true. So normally, because maize is seasonal, during the maize season, the price is low. So you would expect that kinky will be better. But as we know,
rigid downward movement.
Yes. And also, you see, it's simple. Why? It is the kinky that I use to feed my family. So if other things are expensive too, me too, that is my source of income.
That's true.
So how do I reduce it? Even the tomatoes. I used to complain that tomatoes had increased to say 200. A bucket. The
And
pink
that
bucket.
is
Now it's
actually
80 cities.
yes,
Now it's 80
reduced,
cities. It's reduced because tomato is in season. But the point is that we must reach that position where we can project into the future and say, because it's our level of consumption, we're making provisions. Nobody has developed with rain-fed agriculture. And this is not rocket science.
Yeah, and we should not even be repeating those things. And yesterday it was as if we were playing with it, but it's a very damning verdict on us that a group will meet, say we are praying that we get rains, almost like biblical times. We are praying that we get rain so that we can get our crops growing, so that we can be able to feed our family. I mean, see,
today's world, there's drip irrigation.
Yeah.
People are engaging in it. They have boreholes in their farm, and then they use the water. These are all things that can be done. When I went to the Kusunya, the rice farms.
Yeah.
They were, they had their own way of irrigating the farms, which ensured that we could actually farm all year. These are things that can be done. But you see, in the economic enclave project, it is government facilitated together with NIDA and other agencies. It tells you that government has a role to play. The state is responsible for the general welfare and well-being of its citizenry. So the state has a role to play. Don't let us always go to sleep. Then we are thinking about number of farmers. It's only in Ghana that we don't think about the output. We think, the number of farmers.
Not a yield conversation, but it's numbers that you have on the ground.
So we say we have provided seeds to these number of farmers, and this
Give
number
us
of farmers.
funds for the input.
And then
Don't worry about the output.
We don't come back to say that because of what we did, we've been able to reduce this and that. No. That one won't say we have created this number of jobs.
Imagine.
When you ask them, they say, if you look at it, because we have cultivated 357 hectares, and we
Winston recruited an entire newsroom to work with.
and we expect that every hectare has this number of people. Then I say, when I was engaged in maize farming, I didn't recruit more than, I didn't recruit the numbers you're talking about, even though I cultivated about 5 hectares. So what are you talking about? Anyway, let's get into the papers.
Yeah. Let's see what's in the headlines.
Now, let's start with the Daily Graphic, and it's actually reporting this morning, I will build a prosperous nation. This is Alan John Kojo Chemartin there. And if anybody has taken their time to go through the Great Transformational Plan, and I recommend that others do so, because we have all agreed that this year, we want only the best of the ideas to come out. Because it looks like people just breeze through the process, they say things, they put slogans to it, then it becomes problematic along the line for all of us. So we want the best of ideas. There are some very interesting ideas that have been presented in Chemartin's Great Transformational Plan. I hope that it will not be swept under the carpet, ignored mostly by people pretending that they are also interested in the main conversation. Then we reduce the conversation to MPP, NDC, even if the best of ideas are not coming from there. So we should necessarily have a conversation, be from Kofi Akpalu or whoever. It is the best of ideas that must reign, because it's ideas that build a state, not sloganeering and the other things connected to it. But yes, it's on the front page. The other one is present circumstance. Present rather, yes. Present circumstance must influence your vote. This is Toby Afede giving the advice there.
Yeah.
Inflation is coming down, small, slightly, 20.9 in July. Yes. Food inflation also declined sharply. That's on the front page. And again, so that nobody accuses anybody of anything. Because sometimes when we mention these reductions, your people will say that, but we are not feeling it at the Kenke joint. Yeah,
But you see, the reality is that how you probably may calculate your inflation is not how the Ghana Statistical Service will calculate inflation. Everything has a weight, and the comparison is to the previous month's inflation, then to the previous year's inflation. Yeah. So this one, for instance, the truth is that our current rate of, this July rate is from the second week of June to the first week of July.
Right.
The August rate will be from the second week of July to the first week of August. So that's actually something they are working on currently. Yeah. And so it is based on the weight that is put on every product. So you may consume something more, but it doesn't have a higher weight.
Again, if you are an SMA, Greek yogurt person, you might not necessarily be within the baskets that they are talking about. It doesn't mean that you're also not seeing rising inflation.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't mean that this is wrong. There was a time that we did
that your
politics
snack
with
of
it.
choice?
Yeah. Is that where you want to go with that?
SMA Greek yogurt.
No, but you see,
Very
Raymond,
specific example.
You know, dog meat.
Yeah.
That we're talking at a point in time. They said the rate of inflation was 100%. It had a weight of 0.00.
Yeah. So
It didn't contribute in any way to the national average. So maybe you are a lover of dog meat and you're having to pay more. Unfortunately, here.
But can we advocate, me and Mbura, who are friends of the dog meat industry, can we contribute? Can we force the GSS to
let me get to the
consider
finder.
and make our input heavy?
Let me get to the finder.
Before
One of you is a friend of the dog meat industry. The other one is in the dog meat industry.
Well,
I haven't named anybody.
okay, now public lands are secure. This is Minister Samuel A. Jinapo speaking to the People's Republic of Ghana. And public lands are important. I certainly believe that and hope that when he says public lands, he also means that our vegetation and everything is also secured, and that I'm saying it's not happening anywhere. I do not see that as a part of the story, though. One would have expected that we didn't have given opportunity. As his minister in charge, I would have given a brother. There was a gentleman who had a question, who they told him, and then yet that kind of conversation. You come another day. Yes, yes. Anyway, but that's on the front page too. Yes.
The new finder this morning, Quantum Sage New Gas refutes claims of foreign ownership. They've talked about their commitment to the cylinder recirculation. Inflation rate slows for the fourth consecutive month to 20.9 in July. Rethinking tertiary education services, making private universities in Ghana accessible and affordable. That's a very good one. You may want to grab a copy of the finder. Wages, jobs to increase as industry sector expands by 6.8% according to Deloitte. And government set to publish list of public lands leased since 1993. That's according to Samuel Abu Jinapo. And there was,
when is this list going to be published?
He needs to publish it because he made that promise right here.
Yeah, I get
it.
See, but the point is that there's a litany of promises that the minister has made about lands that has yet to see the light of day. So this one, we are 4 months to an election. He should give us specific timelines. In next week, Wednesday, I will publish the list. It's fine. This is our property, so we ought to know what you do with it.